Go. In response to the question, what is the greatest global challenge facing youth today, I could name access to clean water, or I could discuss growing up violence-free. I could talk about cultural misunderstanding, or even a lack of identity within a globalizing world. I could talk about sex trafficking, war, or exploitation, and be absolutely right in identifying the gravity of these challenges for the youth of today. But the biggest global challenge facing youth is something we haven't experienced yet. It is intangible, and it is larger than any issue I just named. Some would even say it is the cause of them all. It is the challenge we youth will be expected to fix. The greatest challenge facing youth today is impending global indebtedness. Without even knowing, we youth were born as free individuals into the shackles of the world's debt. Concluding his special report on debt for The Economist, titled Repent at Leisure, Philip Coggan alludes to this global challenge for today's youth. He writes, "The battle between borrowers and creditors may be the defining struggle for the next generation." According to Coggan's report, one of the most staggering aspects of global debt is the fact that the countries facing the largest amount of debt are also the countries that provide the most amount of foreign aid. Let's take a look. In April 2010, the OECD reported that the top 5 providers of foreign developmental assistance for 2009 were the U.S., the UK, France, Germany, and Japan. The problem is that some of these same countries lead the world in overall debt. According to Coggan, France's debt totals 322% of its GDP. The UK's debt totals 466%, and Japan's debt wins with a staggering total of 471% of its GDP. China, on the other hand, whose debt only totals 158% of its GDP, is the third leading receptor of developmental assistance. So as China receives foreign aid, it also runs a balance of payments surplus, so it can lend money to the nations from which it receives aid so that those nations can buy Chinese goods. In the end, debt rises. As both developed and developing countries sink deeper and deeper into debt, global indebtedness threatens to leave few parts of the world unaffected. Let's take a closer look at the practical side of this global challenge. If China lends money to the U.S. becomes indebted to China. At the same time, the U.S. gives money to, let's say, Sudan, to help prevent the rearing of children soldiers. As U.S. debt grows, at some point it must be held accountable for this debt, and thus its foreign aid must decrease, which in turn enables Sudan's challenges to endure. America's youth can help address this global challenge today by working to understand the current global debt circumstance. We must then share this knowledge with the youth of other countries. This could be done through youth conferences or ambassador programs in which students interact and discuss economic situations facing their countries. During these forums, students could exchange ideas for suggesting legislation in their home countries to bring about fiscal responsibility. If today's youth can come to an understanding of the future debt challenge, we will be better equipped to manage it with responsibility and diligence. So, while the youth of today face many disconcerting challenges, the largest of these is facing the intangible and imminent global debt of the future, because sooner or later this intangible challenge of today will become the tragically tangible crisis of tomorrow.